This ain't financial advice. What is going on? This is going to be a fun talk about decentralization and why it matters, because I think a lot of people are missing the concept. But before we get into that, let me jump down here and shout out everybody who is delegated to the NERD Nerd Stake Pool. 35,546, 9,998. Delegated to the nerd pool, 5,000, 10,000, coming in hot, 9,997. Do I hear 101,093 into the nerd node, sitting at a grand total of 24,351,798. Cardano, ADA Lovelace is delegated into the nerd node with 585 fancy ladies and gentlemen. Highly intelligent, sophisticated, beautiful delegations. Folks, so let's take a peek at Cardano real quick watch here. My dad actually used to be an auctioneer, which is quite funny. And you guys probably wonder, why does he always say right chair? Right chair. I used to work for this guy when he was a contractor, and he'd go, hey, get that hammer right chair. Get that hammer right chair. What is right chair? Right chair? Do you mean right there? Right over there. We've been watching a little too much Bonanza lately. So we're sitting at about 239, feeling fine. Now, this is quite funny. Charles last night responding to, was this the right one? Yeah, I actually started going back and forth with this guy. And this guy wrote to Charles. He said, thank you for responding. I'm glad to hear you're confident there's no issue. My point is mainly it's a PR issue, and a gentler approach would not hurt. Sometimes leaders need to accept blame even if it's warranted. Charles, don't accept blame when people are outright lying about the facts. Everything that has been claimed like one transaction per block is a straight up lie. Now, folks, if you're not following me on Twitter, we are at Yacht Wallace on Twitter and on Instagram. But this conversation got even more interesting. Basically, this guy, Work, was saying that, Charles, you need to basically apologize for what happened with the MinSwap failed transactions. And that all boils back to the whole decentralization. Now, MinSwap was apparently funded by Cardano, okay? But my point to that gentleman was that, hey, look, Paramount Pictures hires many independent contractors, directors, producers. Those people make films, okay? If the film bombs, which a large majority of them do, you never see the studio head come back and complain to the come back and to the fans, guys, I'm sorry, Transformers 6 was a tank. No. And if it's a film director who doesn't want to use digital and he doesn't understand the software, the technology of the cameras, or how to light a scene, it's not the studio head's fault. Okay? Yeah, they have something invested in it, but they're not going to apologize. They put out too many films. This is not how it works. And these are independent projects at the end of the day. Yeah, maybe they got some funding through Catalyst or other means. But the reality is that, folks, your ship is either going to sail or it's not. You're either going to be proficient or you're not. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. And that's how it's going to go. You live or you die by what you know. Some people are incompetent. Some people get funding in Hollywood and in other places who don't deserve it, who don't know what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with MinSwap. I'm just saying that is the case in many things, in many businesses. Look at just blockchains in general and all the ones that have failed. You can't expect if the fans are mad, the studio boss doesn't come out and say, I'm sorry, we're going to show them how to use the editing software better. No, they move on to make another film. And sometimes they make another film with the same director and same producers. And sometimes it bombs, and sometimes it's their next hit. So it's really hard to say. Now back to the whole decentralization, okay? People have asked me, they're like, do you think your like wacky thumbnails and your comedic approach, your not taking this too seriously approach is going to piss Charles off. It's going to upset the Cardano Foundation. I don't care if it does. That's the whole point of a permissionless network. I don't need permission. Now, granted, I'd like to be in good graces with them because that's just the kind of person that I am. But at the end of the day, they're not my mom and dad, okay? It's a permissionless network, unlike many other networks that require permission for you to run a node, okay? I didn't have to call up and apply. This isn't a college, okay? This isn't a fraternity. This isn't a yacht club. I don't need permission. It's permissionless. I am an independent entity, okay? Nerd is an independent entity functioning without permission. We wild up in chat, okay? So let me show you, okay, a little bit in a very simplistic graph what, nerd node, stake with nerd, what decentralization looks like. This is a centralized network, okay? Let's just say this is a bank. These are all the people who put their money into the bank. This is JP Morgan. They have complete control of the input and the output. Pop, 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 pop. If this goes down, I heard Raoul Paul say something interesting. One of the biggest problems is that nobody knows who owns what. That was a revelation when I heard that. I'm like, that's a very good point. But with the decentralized network, everybody owns their own stuff. This is controlled by a central power. This is controlled by a decentralized network of computers, okay? And the more decentralized something becomes, in theory, the more fair it should become, okay? Because I can tell you this right now, this is not a permissionless network. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, 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 no. They don't like you. They shut you down. Game over. Go to jail. Do not collect $200. We are in control. This is the power to the people movement. And that is why I'm so interested in Cardano. And that is why I'm interested in blockchain technology that offers true decentralization. That's why Ethereum, as much as I give it a hard time, and Bitcoin, as much as I give it a hard time at times, they're decentralized. They are. Okay? And here's a good example of why decentralization truly matters. Okay? Because basically, what happens when something is centralized? It grows, and eventually the rules begin to change. Okay? The people in the power position, that nugget in the middle, they start to, well, let's use social media for example. They start to determine what can be published, what cannot be published, what is fake news, what is not, what is real news. And then it becomes a debate of this person says it's fake news, this person says it's real news. And then you start getting the person in the power putting out their news, and a lot of times the other people, the other side of the coin feels, well, that's kind of an opinion-based fact, okay? Meaning that your fact is purely based on your own opinion and not necessarily what is real. Think about that. And centralization tends to corrupt, right? It tends to expose people's greed. Many of these projects have shot up into the top 10 and then they shoot right back down, okay? Because they're highly centralized projects. And it's funny because the monkey trying to get the cookies out of the cookie jar who can't get his hand out because it's stuck because the hole's not big enough, that's what these big firms are experiencing when they go up into the top 10 and they drop right back down. Because what they're trying to do is what do they want? They want the money and they want the power, okay? But that's not how decentralization works, which is the true power of the blockchain, okay? You don't get all the power and all the money. That's the opposite of why this was created. So you have the venture capitalist funds to push these projects up so everyone can see them. Oh, what's this? This is the new internet. It's the next fastest, cheapest thing out there, except it's controlled by a room of 25 people. It's controlled by, 60 people. Or you can't go run your own validator node. You have to get permission from the big head honcho. And guess what? When he wants to dump or when he wants to shut you down, goodbye. Turn off the TV. Time for bed. And you have zero recourse. But that's not the case with a permissionless network. With a permissionless network, you have more power. Can you still have some aspects of centralization? Absolutely, yes. 100% yes. But as something like Cardano grows and creates a governance system where we're able to actually vote on certain things that happen, how certain events are handled and conducted, the community is the one in control, as opposed to the monopoly man, the head honcho, the venture capitalist, the hedge fund. And their greed and their power is less effective. And it has been corrupted. Take a look at this right here, okay? Very important. Microsoft Encarta dies after long battle with Wikipedia. If you all remember correctly, Encarta became the number one encyclopedia. Used to get a CD-ROM out of the case, put it into the computer, had to as you looked up these articles. But that was an information source that was coming through Microsoft. Okay, and why did Wikipedia overtake Microsoft? Because it had an active community of contributors. That's why. Think about that. What is that parallel to? What can I think that has an active community of contributors? An active community. Well, I know Ethereum's one. Say Bitcoin's one. Who else, though? I don't know. Maybe Cardano. Let's see how the community contributes, because we know the community is there. Look at what Charles has done with his YouTube channel. Look at what Charles has done with his Twitter handle. He has over 80,000 followers on Twitter. He's got 250,000, 300,000 followers on YouTube. He's building an active community, and the community is what is the power. The community is the decentralization. Do you think people would be so passionate about this if Charles owned 75% of the tokens and was only allowing 21 validator nodes? No, they wouldn't. They'd be like, you're a rich prick and we all hate you. No one wants to watch you. That's why you don't see a lot of those other people creating the community. And I've said it on this channel before. One of Cardano's most valuable assets is the community that rallies behind it. And that's going to be the thing that makes or breaks us in the long run. Just like Encarta was broken by Wikipedia because Encarta never had a community. They had probably a dozen board members who made the decisions on what history was. Think about that. Encarta decides how to explain the JFK assassination, how to explain the Martin Luther King assassination, how to explain Abraham Lincoln's assassination. 12 guys in a boardroom. Sounds fair to me. I don't know about you. I wouldn't want a governance system. Why did Google Plus fail? You tell me. Comment below. Like and subscribe for more. That's me making fun of myself. Google Plus failed because they never had a community either. It was a rich, powerful company trying to impose a social network on people. And the reality is that Facebook, as centralized as it is, initially it was a community. Okay, now Facebook has really gone down, in my opinion. Not a Facebook promo here. But initially it had that organic growth and that organic community, which Google Plus never had. You can throw $1 bazillion at something, but if you don't have a community behind it, I think it's going to fail, okay? Because people like people. People want a community. People want to feel like they're a part of something. It's one of the most basic human needs. And that's what decentralization can potentially offer. Yeah, we're starting with the banking system. Then we're going to go to the social media system. Then we're going to go to the television, the film, the music systems, the art world. And instead of 10 people making a decision on how everybody else has to live their life, what if everybody could make a decision on how we lived our life, and I could hit the buttons correctly on this little transfer stick? Folks, you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for everyone who has delegated, everyone who's come to our Twitter, everyone who's been a part of this wild ride. And if I don't see you, I'll see you on the internet. I'm out.
Steak with Nerd.